I'm Tammy Gilligan with Inner Resourced. I'm a facilitator of mindfulness practices, a school psychologist, and a professor at James Madison University.
Hi, I'm Michelle Kelty with Inner Resourced. I'm a mindfulness coach and consultant and a professor of counseling at James Madison University. On behalf of Inner Resourced, we are here to help support your capacity for inner strength during these challenging times.
So let's just take a few seconds to settle in to the next few minutes of practice. Wherever you are viewing this from, or perhaps you're only listening to a recording, just pause and begin to notice your breath. And if you're able, perhaps notice your feet on the floor. Just settling in and giving yourself permission to have this time right now for practice. So today's practice is a practice we call RAD. And RAD centers on a three-part process of R, recognizing or increasing your awareness to what is happening in the moment. The A is accepting what is happening in the moment. And then the D of RAD is choosing or deciding on the action that's best in any situation. So this acronym RAD, recognize, accept, decide, allows us to have brief moments of attention and acknowledgement of what's going on in any stressful or challenging situation, both around us, but most importantly, what is going on within our own bodily reactions and our own thoughts. So this recognition, what is happening right now, then opens the door to acceptance. Acceptance of this is part of my experience of being human. This thought I'm having in reaction to this stressful situation, this tensing of my body, if that is happening, that is part of being human. So there's an acceptance to that reaction. And then the D is then choosing how I might respond to that situation. So let's just take a moment and perhaps envision, take yourself back to a moment of challenge for you in your work life, a situation where it was difficult for you to perhaps choose a strategy of self-care rather than another action that might actually lead you to more stress. So just remember that experience and take note or recognize what might have been happening for you in that moment in your body or within your thoughts. So just recognizing any feelings or emotions you may have been having and accepting that that was part of your experience in that stressful situation. Now envision yourself choosing and deciding on a realistic and perhaps compassionate action towards self-care. Michelle's going to share some other examples with you now.
Great. So we're going to practice a little bit of RAD here. So hopefully you can see our RAD poster, recognize, accept, and decide. It's a great acronym to remember in the moment, and also we can use this with students. So I'm going to share a couple of examples with you and then a few ways of school-based mental health professionals and school professionals have found RAD to be useful for themselves. So let's say you're given short notice from an administrator that you need to complete a job that is not a part of your normal role, such as substituting in classrooms. So in this situation, you could recognize your thoughts and feelings. It could vary from person to person, anger, fear, frustration, and then accept the feelings that you're having. And also, there's a part of us that has to accept the less than ideal circumstances when necessary. So we're not advocating for complacency about systemic problems or saying to take our advocate role, our advocate or social justice hat off. We're saying what parts are we not able to influence and how can we accept those right now in this moment? And then decide, what am I going to do? Am I going to do a mindfulness practice? Maybe I'm going to focus in on my breathing. Maybe I'm going to take a walk. Maybe I'm going to plan to talk to my team to make a plan for advocacy. But the point of this exercise is to give ourselves that space to make an intentional decision in a place of acceptance and compassion for ourselves. So another example could be, you're really worried about a student because you suspect that there might be abuse or neglect, but your access to private communication with them right now is non-existent. So a very real scenario and what's happening today for many of us. So recognize your thoughts and feelings here. Maybe there's a sense of sadness or hopelessness or worry on your part. Accept the feelings that you're having. And then accept what is within your ability to influence and what is not. So that can really kind of help kind of unhook us from this constant pressure that we have to figure everything out or we have to fix everything. And then decide what you're going to do as best you can in that moment. Maybe it's chatting on a secure platform just to say hi, sending an email or a text message just to say hi that you're thinking of the student, or maybe going as far as setting up a meeting with that student and their parents to show support and encouragement, or potentially collaborating on a home visit with another colleague if you feel that that's the decision that you need to make. One counselor that we know, she'll just take a few breaths with her eyes closed in her office when she gets overwhelmed before she springs into action. Another person told us that sometimes they just stand there and put their hand on the wall and kind of remember to be present in that moment for just a few seconds before they continue on with their day. Another professional needs more of a physical outlet, and they take a lap around the track, even putting a coat on if it's the winter time. And another person loves to dance and gives themselves a 1-minute dance party to create space before making a reactive decision. So that's kind of their way of giving themselves that space to kind of acknowledge and before moving on. How about you? How can you be rad and recognize, accept, and decide when you are faced with fast-paced and often difficult decisions, which we know you are often on a daily basis? We hope that this practice was meaningful for you today, or will allow a pathway for you to find a way to make this practice work for you. Like Inner Resourced on Facebook, where you'll gain access to more information and activities. We really appreciate you spending your time with us today.